So, welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes, their challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. And this afternoon, I'm delighted to have with us Chris Worthington, who's managing director at both VetFinders and Cause Matchers. So, Chris, thank you for spending a bit of time with us. And if you'd like to introduce yourself, your businesses, what you do, how you help people, that would be wonderful.
Chris Worthington, thanks Chris for that, by the way, much appreciated. 52 years old, married, a couple of kids, 16 and 18, one's doing the GCSEs. So started sort of 22, about 30 years ago now, left the college, did business studies like everyone else does that don't know what they want to do, Chris. Sort of Preston Polytechnic, which was then a university. Sort of fell into my first job, corporate world, working for sort of Hazelwood Foods. Did probably about sort of 10 years working for various food companies as a buyer. Never the type of person who sort of towed the party line, Chris. Not a rebel, but always someone who used to sit there thinking, this is nonsense, this. I could never I wasn't corporate at all. While I enjoyed it, I learned an awful lot and had some great times. Just wasn't that corporate animal who fit in. I always wanted to tell the truth where you didn't want, where people would shut up, Chris, don't say anything now because you'll make a fool of yourself. But I didn't. I was just telling the truth. So, and then always wanted to sort of from sort of mid-20s sort of work for myself. This was pre-internet. My parents are massively risk averse, so I don't know where it's come from. I think it's come from my granddad, who I never met, bless him. My brother works for himself over in Thailand, so there's something in the genes somewhere
Brilliant.
where we've always wanted to sort of work for ourselves. So I was working for a food company at the time, met a guy working for major recruitment, a guy called Joe. One thing led to another. My parents thought I was absolutely stupid. I had a decent job, company car, and a nice fancy bonus scheme. Packed it all in, moved to Wakefield and set up a company called Qualtech Resourcing. So no idea what I was doing. Got in there, proper arse fell out my trousers, Chris, because he had no salary, no nothing. I gave him my company car, but it's actually quite liberating because I had a nice steady salary and a company car. I had a laptop, I had a 5 grand credit card bill, and I went to buy a 2 grand Ford Focus, and it was great. And I'm sitting at the desk thinking, oh my God, what am I doing? But it was one of those things where I semi enjoy having my back to the wall in a weird, weird way. I like my bills being paid, but when you wake up in the morning and you think, I've got to do something today, otherwise the bills aren't being paid. So we went through a sort of quite a few years of proper like panicking of where the bills come from. But it was before kids, so the mortgage was low. Didn't have too many bills. And we built it over a period of time, mainly engineering, and we did sort of shop floor personnel people. So we built it to a reasonable standard, to about just short of 6 million quid. There was a team of about 8 of us.
Brilliant.
And then we sold it in 2015, so did about 12 years. I didn't really want to sell it, but someone approached us. My partner in crime at the time, Paul, suited a few sort of illnesses, what's the word, health issues, let's say, let's be polite. He wanted to sort of get rid, so we sold it onto a national. Did a couple of years there and had a boss again, Chris. So went right back to being sort of in the corporate world, which you appreciate because if you are trading something for some money, which was great, but then you're back in the corporate world and it was okay. I did 2 years,
Yep.
and then sort of called it a day. Called it a day, and then set up another recruitment company. I mean, I'm rubbish at everything, Chris. I wanted to be a footballer, a rock star, but I was rubbish. So all I know is recruitment. So fell back into recruitment, doing veterinary. Worked from an office in York, and this was national veterinary. So this was mainly perm stuff before it was all temporary.
Yep.
So it was mainly perm. So anything to do with veterinaries, anything to do with the vet practice, mainly vets, nurses, practice managers, things like that. So a massive change. It's been tough. It was
Yeah.
looking back, it was easier. And you go into it, not arrogant, but you go into it thinking, I know it all, I've done this and done that. And you go right back to the bottom. It's
Yep.
like being a sous chef when you've been a top chef. You're right back to peeling potatoes on the ground floor, panicking a little bit. But we've had some real ups and downs. We've had COVID in the middle of that. And we're still fighting, Chris. We're still here. So, right. So from that, so about 6 months ago from there, I've set up another business called Cause Matcher. Something I have sort of wanted to do for quite a long time. I've always had a heart of gold, Chris, basically. I've always wanted to do something and give back a little bit.
Yep.
So I've set up a platform that I've been thinking about it probably for 2 or 3 years now. But like I said, it's something that's come to fruition. It's a bit of a side gig, a bit of a hobby, but I want it to sort of lead to something more long term, hopefully. So basically, it's a platform that marries up charities with businesses. So a
Yeah,
charity posts a need, anything from, I don't know, IT, HR, social media, trade, anything like that. And a business goes on and they match. And then they do sort of the work off the site. So it's like a dating site, Chris, with that ugly people on it, something like that. So they match, they talk, and they go off and do something. So that's
brilliant.
been up and running for.
Sorry for that, Chris. I think my signal went down. But yeah, so just please go on. You were talking about Cause Matcher and how it matches trades and professional services with charities.
Yeah, so it's a platform, and there's only one in Yorkshire, to be fair, Chris. Just focusing on Yorkshire. There's some national ones, but it's just focusing on the sort of Yorkshire business charity. So basically, a charity posts a need, which can be anything from IT, HR, social media, accountancy, skilled trades, skill types of work, but also trade. So you've got your builders, your electricians, things like that.
Brilliant,
So they post a need, anything at all, and the business can go on and match with that need. So it's like a dating service, like a Tinder, Chris.
brilliant.
Like I said, without the horrible pictures and fake pictures. So it's had quite a good start. We've been going sort of about 4 or 5 weeks now. We've had a bit of press in the Yorkshire Post, which is positive.
Brilliant,
So there's lots of charities coming on. I just need to keep pushing it and pushing it. So it's a bit of a sort of a personal thing for me. I want to do it long term, Chris. There's a real plan for me to build something in Yorkshire and just do sort of Yorkshire businesses and Yorkshire
brilliant,
charities. There's quite a lot of appetite for it, and I've had people calling me sort of big construction businesses as well, which is good. So the Social Value Act, they're building a hospital, they have to spend so much
yes,
within the area.
brilliant,
And now it wasn't something years ago, and I'm not 100% sure on this. When it first set up in 2012, it was voluntary. Now you have to do something and you have to record it. Now it's a funny old formula of how it works, but if you're building a hospital for 400 or 500 million quid, there's a lot of money needs to be spent in an area.
yes, brilliant,
And they're really keen. So I've got quite a few presentations coming up. I've got a big one in
brilliant,
Leeds with 40 companies, all part of what's called the Leeds Social Alliance. So it's all very positive. What I do need, Chris, on a sales pitch is any corporate sponsors to come my way. It's
brilliant,
all free for everybody. There's no money, there's no donations exchanging hands or anything like that. If you want to donate, it's off the site. But for me, it's like I said, it's free. But to keep it going, I just need some corporate sponsors.
brilliant.
I'm funding it myself, and it always will be funded by myself. But I don't want it too long term. It doesn't cost a lot of money to run, Chris, but
Yep,
over time, it'll just need a little bit of sort of maintenance, and everything's organic traffic. I'd like to do a few adverts and get pushing it, but obviously
yep.
it costs money. So any sponsors out there, give me a call.
So corporate sponsors, and then I guess anyone that would like to provide a service to a charity or a social enterprise, and any charities or social
Any
enterprises like
charities,
this.
Chris?
Yeah,
Any charities? I mean, excuse me, you go through, I mean, years ago in the 80s, let's say, it was all money, money, money. The things have changed a little bit. Gen Z are looking for a passion, a mission-driven business, and people want to give back. And lots of people don't want to give a donation of a few couple of quid because they don't know where it goes. By doing the skills, they can measure it, you can build a website, you can show what you do. And companies are full of skilled people. Charities
brilliant.
can't always afford it. Whereas a
Absolutely.
company, if they're a big company, they can spare 2 or 3 hours for someone to build a website or help or anything at all, Chris. Anything at
It,
all. IT, you name it, especially the AI thing going
it,
forward. So
absolutely. I mean, it's a real no-brainer for me because it's like it. I know it's very rewarding for a bunch of, let's say, accountants to go and clear some land or paint some walls or something. But when they're 50, 100, £200 an hour, it makes more sense that they do that value of work for a charity than
well,
if that makes sense.
Well, I was given an example of accountants that some accountants would they worked on sort of kids at a kids playground, so they were painting and they were painting toilets and painting sheds, but they were rubbish at it, Chris, and the job was shit apparently. So why do we get accountants on £200 an hour advising the charity on cash flow and whatever they need to do
100%.
with accountancy, not getting a paper shout?
Well, there was a story. The story I was told by a guy that runs a charity, the CEO there, and he said literally that. He said, "Yeah, we got a team of people. I'm not even going to say what profession they were, just so it's not. But they got a team of people in, and they painted a room. And he said not only was it that bad, they had to repaint the room, but they had to
Oh,
replace the carpet." because they meant to have it too. So he actually got more money. So, and that wasn't a diss. It was absolutely with respect to the people that came in. But the point being
Yeah.
is, why do something that you're not skilled at when the skill you've got is so valuable? So what you're doing is
Well,
wonderful.
the beauty is as well, it's also remote. So most of what I can do is remote. So yes, the trades have got to go on site, but you don't need to disappear 20 miles down the road and give it a weekend up. If you want to build a website, you can build it within work time, within your own time, and you can do it from your desk at home. So there's a little bit of you don't need to get up. We're not cutting trees. We're not planting trees. You can do that if you want to, but I'm
Yeah,
hoping most of the things on the site are skilled.
brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And just remind us the name of the
So it's going
website.
well. It's going well.
Just remind us the name of the website for anyone that would
www.
go on.
www.causematcher.com. Just as it sounds, causematcher.com.
Clausematcher.com. Brilliant.
So good site. It's all been built. The platform at the end works everything out and matches the people up. It's very good.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, look, because just sort of looking back a little bit now, just to focus on yourself and your businesses. If you look back over your business career, especially since you left corporate and founded all of the three businesses you mentioned, what are some of the biggest challenges and issues that you've had to overcome over that time?
Um, I think basically just the hardest thing is trying to get business, trying to get people on board, and trying to earn some money. So it's the fear factor of sales. I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't think I was a salesperson, but I used to work as a buyer, which is the flip side of sales. So in a way, it was sales. So it's the back to the wall, Chris. It's making it happen. Lots of people watch these YouTubers and they're in the fancy Lambos and the private jets, which they're not because a lot of it's made up, and they think it's like that. It's bloody hard work. So the hardest thing I think is trying to cover your costs. So you look at your end of your month and what you need to do personally, and what do I need to bring in to cover that and to make the ends meet, etc., etc. So it's brilliant when you've got your back to the wall and you've got to pick up the phone and you've got to make some sales. And the beauty of recruitment is, especially temp recruitment, is you can turn things around quite quickly. So you can make a sale on a Monday, get some temps in, and you can be paid sort of the following Friday. So it's just not as if you're panicking, you're waiting for money to come in 2 or 3 months down the line with perm. On the temporary side, you've got money coming in quite quickly. So
Yes.
if you hit the phones, your back's to the wall. I think that's one of the hardest things to do. And just managing your money, cash flow's king. I mean, the first lesson I had at business when I was 18 was cash flow is king. It's never left me that. You
Absolutely.
can have brilliant positive cash flow and not make a lot of money, but if you cash it in the right place at the right time. I mean, you're older than me, Chris, but you remember the 80s and the massive boom, and everyone went they boomed and everyone went bust because they ran out of money. So everyone expanded, and then they're all profitable businesses but ran out of cash. And that's
Absolutely.
been a couple. I've had a few airy moments where I've had bills coming in, no cash, but loads of money due in to
Yeah.
cover the bills, but it's just not been paid. So I'm thinking, well, I'm a 2 days here from going insolvent or going bust, but I've got money to cover it. That was a big lesson, and that's something I'm really keen on now. Is like watching your cash, watching your bottom line, and making sure you don't run out of money.
100%. It's so easy to get carried away with, as you say, making money or even making sales. But if the money's not coming in the right way to pay the bills, then we're definitely screwed. And it's something that we need to keep in mind. Leonard, you mentioned the fear of that of that happening. I think our founder Brad has got there's a great phrase. I don't think he invented it, but the idea that you've got was it too much month at the end of the money, which I thought is
Yeah,
quite a good way of
that's a
describing it.
brilliant phrase. No, it's true. The amount of times I've come worrying myself to sleep, panicking about people paying me,
Yeah,
nearly begging them on the phone to pay me to cover the bills,
yeah,
thinking, I mean, I've never missed payroll yet, but I tell you what, we've had some tight moments. Bloody hell, we've had some tight moments. But it's all fun, Chris. It's all
yeah.
fun. That's why I look so young, 35. There we go.
You want to go on a dating site, Chris? That would, you know,
Well, I've got a site that matches charities and businesses, but no, that's my next project, Chris.
it's
That's my
amazing
next
what AI can
project.
do if you need to, need.
Well, he can make me and you look about a stone lighter and prettier. So I'm all for I'm
I
all
don't know.
for AI.
I think that's a bit much, but I'm getting there. So what would you? I mean, you mentioned cash flow. What would you say? What are some of the secrets of growing a successful business? Obviously, the challenge is obviously watching cash and what that would look like. But what are some of the key things that you would say that you've learned?
I think you've got to enjoy what you do first of all. I mean, Steve, I remember
Yep.
watching Steve Jobs years ago, and he said, if you don't love what you do, there's just no point because it's going
Yep.
to get so bad and so tough and so hard.
Yes.
You've got to really enjoy it. So I think it's the usual, it's the commitment, it's the ambition. You've got to really want to set your own business up, and loads of people talk about it. And I would advise strongly for a lot of people to really look at what they do before they set their own business up because it's
Yeah.
bloody hard. So you've got to want. I've always wanted to be my own boss. I'd never liked authority. I've never liked being told what to do by people I don't particularly respect. So I'd rather fail myself so I can have a go at myself. And it's always if you put the hours in and the money comes in, it's yours as well, Chris. So this business
Yeah.
100% mine. My last business was 50-50. So you can whatever you put in, you get out. Whereas in a
Yeah.
job, and I've only got people in a job, for instance, but it's not. It's when I worked in a big corporate job, you can work your arse off in your 60-hour weeks and your pay's the pay and whatever it might be. Here, you are, what's the word? Something of your own destiny, whatever it might be. So you can, yeah, that's the thing for me, is just sticking at it and keep going and just, I mean, there is times when you can quit, but if you're that deep in, Chris, like a gambler, you've got to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just different. It's just different identity, I think, of business. I won't use it, but business ownership and employment, and it's just different. And I've met and worked with lots of very very successful people that will always work in a business for somebody else,
Yeah, yeah,
even though they're way more successful than a lot of the people I meet that are business owners. It is
yeah.
just a mindset thing, and I think it's just understanding we're all different and we've all got to go, and but finding our flow, finding what really makes us really excited and happy is so important.
If you can find that and find what your passion is and watch your why, let's say the Simon Sinek book, my
Yeah.
favorite ever book, you're laughing, but very few people can find that. So there's quite a lot of stats to say, I don't know, recruitment, let's say there's recruiters out there working for themselves, earning the same money they would do working for a business on 40 hours a week, but they're working for themselves, doing 60 with all the
Yes.
stress that goes with it. And if they say they're a business owner, yeah, but it's killing them,
Yeah.
basically. Getting a job is much easier. So there's a lot of people like that, and but you don't see them because LinkedIn is full of success stories, and so is YouTube. You don't
Yep.
see the most people proper grinding to
Yeah.
to earn themselves a living.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's off to them all.
Agreed. 100%. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I know you're aware we're a business coaching organisation. I'm keen to know who the best coaches that you've worked with, whether that's business, sport, life in general. Who's had the biggest impact on you?
That's a loaded question, Chris, that isn't it? So probably, I mean, I look back at my first ever job, and there was a gentleman there called Ian Greenwood. So I left college at 22.
Yep.
First job was working for Hazelwood Foods. It was a sandwich factory. It was absolutely bonkers. It was massively disorganized, but it wasn't. We made 1.7 million sandwiches a week. We did 400,000 a day all over. I mean, they do 3 million now, all over the UK. Everything was fresh. We had thousands of it. It was bonkers, but it was brilliant. It was a proper baptism of fire.
Yep.
And the guy I worked with there was great. And he was like, just do your best, Chris. It's going to go wrong. You're just going to manage. It was one of those situations where you can't be a perfectionist. You are
Yep.
managing a shitstorm, and the whole process is to make sure all the orders go out that day, however we get them out. And it
Yep.
was a constant battle. And he was brilliant. And I've kept in touch with him right to this day. And that's 30 years later. So he was really good.
Brilliant.
And then you go back to so when you're at primary school, you're sort of your sports teacher there. But things like mentors, I've never really had any sort of apart from yourself, Chris. Not any sort of mentors really. But I mean, he's someone I will call now and again, probably once a year to have a chat, catch up. He was
Brilliant.
really good. But I was always quite taking things a bit too seriously because I wanted to progress and do well. He was super chilled, and it just if the shit hits the fan, the shit hits the fan. It's just the way it is. We just do our best, and that's what. So it was true though, because if and then it's one of those things where I've I've become more of a worrier. I don't know why, but I now write down what I can control and what I can't control. And
Yep.
he was like that. See, Chris, if the lorry breaks down, Chris, it's full of ingredients to make a sandwich. It bloody breaks down, Chris. There's nothing you can do. They can
Yes.
shout at you, they can call you a name, but there's nothing you can do. So stop worrying about it. But
Yep.
because you've got a conscience, it was that type of thing. So no, he was really good to be fair. He was very good, Ian.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's a great, exactly. It's that idea of that. I think it was Covey talked about the circle of control and the circle of concern,
Mm.
and the gap between them is stress. So if worrying about stuff you can't control is however much you do is stress. So either increase your control of the things that you're concerned about, or just reduce your concern. But there's no point living in a world of stress.
But the problem with that is, and it's great, is that you end up, so it's your problem. So I used to order a lot of product from Spain on lorries, and it was 3 days from Spain, 3 or 4 days, and you would
Right.
have to, because it was produce, and we're bringing in like lettuce, you had 2 or 3 days shelf life, so you had to get it on time and
Yeah.
use it, otherwise it was in the bin. So if that lorry broke down and it didn't arrive and you ran out of lettuce, you're talking of 100, 200,000 sandwiches. And we used to get billed £1 a unit. So every time we didn't send a sandwich in, the customer billed us £1, as well as our loss. I mean, it's probably a sackable offence anyway, but
Wow.
it was like, it was not my problem. But sorry, it's not my issue. I couldn't know anything about it, but it's my problem. So it's like Alex Ferguson, Man United. If Man United lose, he can't control that, but it's his responsibility to make them win. He can't make them win, but he gets all the flack. So my neck was on the block, and my boss said to me, "If you run out of these three ingredients, Chris, you're sacked. Just make sure you don't run out of these ingredients because it was such a big deal." But it was always, if it was the produce, you had such a short shelf life.
Yeah.
And I used to go to sleep and I used to worry and wake up panicking and my phone rang. I just think, oh my God. And I get the stores guy on, say, your lorry's not here, Chris, where is it? And I used to, my arse fell out my trousers on numerous occasions. But we got by in the end, we got by. So I didn't get sacked from that, luckily.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Close, close.
What a story. And I love collecting quotes and sayings, favorite quotes and sayings about business or success. Are there any that you have that you catch yourself using quite regularly?
Uh, for me, you broke up there, Chris. For me, I think people do business with people they like, which is one that's bandied
Yep.
about a lot. And I could give you all fancy hindsight stuff and all that, but I used to be a buyer, and I've worked in sales now. And one of the things, especially as a buyer, you bought as long as the product was okay and the price was right, you wanted to deal with someone you liked. So it's the same in sales. So we won quite a lot of business just by being decent people, by first of all people liking us, doing the right thing, and people bought from us. So recruitment, especially in temporary recruitment, it's massively price orientated. So you're all pulling from the same pool of people. You're all offering a great service. But do we want to deal with Chris or not? We like Chris because of this, and Chris will do this, and he says the right things, and he's not an
Yep.
idiot from wherever. So that served me fantastically well. And I was only buying a car with my lad yesterday, and the same thing. We went to 2 or 3 sales guys, and the guy I bought the car from was the guy I liked.
Yeah.
The car was fine. It ticked all the boxes, but he seemed like a nice guy. I mean, he might run off with that money tomorrow, Chris, but on the face of it, he was a nice guy, and that's the type of. But it's worked wonders for me and Paul. We used to go into pictures, and we said the right things, and when we'd win it, we'd always ask the question. And we were Yorkshire,
Yeah.
and and we was always like, "Oh, we like you. You're from Yorkshire. You're one of us, and we like you guys. We like you. Don't let us down. Those guys over there, idiots. Don't trust them." And you get that all the time. And we were no better than anyone else.
Yep.
But it was like, and it was always trying to get to make people like you and then buy from you. You've got that when the shit hits the fan, Chris. You've got that relationship to sort of pull back on. So it served us very well. That
Brilliant. And books and podcasts that you watch or follow or read. Have you got any favorites that you could recommend?
apart from this one, Chris, which is up there with Joe Rogan.
Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you.
Tick that box.
I'll have to shake my head for that one.
I spend too much time on podcasts. I mean the Joe Rogans are too long, so I'll watch the 20-minute clips. Stephen Bartlett's great.
Yep.
Some of the people I like on podcasts. There's a guy called Jesse Itzler, who's an American business guy.
Okay.
He's a business guy, and he is a sort of an ultra athlete. He's just bonkers, but he's brilliant to watch. Super motivated.
Right.
He's married. He's a billionaire, and he's married to a billionaire. So you can't meet two some more successful people. But he's spot on, and he's sound with it. I follow a guy called Scott Harrison who runs a charity called Charity Water.
Okay.
Really, really interesting guy. He's changed he got a brilliant backstory, which I won't go into, but he was a nightclub owner and this, that, and the other, and all went wrong. But he's decided to sort of solve the water crisis. So he has set up a charity what gives 100% donations to the front line. So
Right.
it was the only charity that did it at the time. So basically, if you give them $100, the $100 goes to building a well on the front line, and you can
Yep.
see where your money goes. So there
Yep.
is there's a what do you call it, a GPS, and there's also a webcam, so you can see it. So what he cleverly did was basically he got people like me to donate to the charity, but he got rich people to fund the back end of the charity. So
Yep.
he's got some very wealthy people that will pay for all of his office accommodation
Brilliant.
and all his staffing costs. So
Brilliant.
when you are a person, you don't like with Oxfam, I don't know, you get 20 pence in the pound goes to the front line, I don't know. and he also even pays back credit card fees. You give $103, he gives you
Yep.
a $3 back credit card fee. So he's a really interesting watch. He's all over the podcast, a really great guy. And obviously Gary Vaynerchuk's people like that, but
Yep.
he can get a bit over the top and a bit, I don't know, in your face, let's say. But he's
Yep.
a bit too lively sometimes, but a good guy, and he predicts things really well, really
He is.
well.
He really is a good guy, and I think my perception of him over time is he's very much talking a lot now about. I mean, he talks about good people win. It's not about good guys come first, not last.
He says a
Rather,
lot of that.
and I think that's for me that's a very strong message because I think having a what I would consider to be a strong set of values and having businesses that are values driven, and I'm not saying what values are the most important, but I think being aligned to your own values and working with people in a business that align to our values too is really really key.
I think you've got to get nice people to work. So if you're working in a sales environment like he does, I mean, it's machines and vets. Vets are great. And I used to work with a lot of machinists and engineers. They weren't particularly sociable people, but you didn't need them to be. They could talk to a machine, they could fix the machine,
Yep.
but they didn't need to be sociable. So I used to go to the HR manager when I used to deal with that and say, listen, don't answer him any fancy HR questions. Talk to him about machines, and the guy's eyes will light up. He's great. But
Yep.
don't employ him based on his personality or
No.
his social skills because he's not that.
Yep.
So we used to try and bypass HR and get the maintenance engineer to talk to the buyer who's bringing in. And all of a sudden they get like a house on fire because they can
Brilliant.
talk machines. But yeah, dealing with nice people. And well, you can say you try and employ people, you try and look for the nice bits in them, don't you?
Yeah.
Employ nice people, be decent to people.
Yeah, absolutely. Bang on. And Chris, what would you say you've learned about yourself throughout your journey so far?
To stop stressing. I think when I'm quite resilient, so when my back is against the wall, I can normally pull a rabbit out of a hat. The amount of times I've pulled a sale out at the last minute, but
Yep.
that's all. It's not luck. It's down to putting the calls in. It's like if you put 100 calls in a day, you're going to do better than someone that puts 50 in or something like that. So I've always managed to get out of the shit when it matters. And it's not been a while to be fair, but I think from that point of view, and just stop bloody worrying, Chris. Stop worrying. I worry too much about things that I can't really change. But no, I think you look back and you think, yeah, you've done reasonably well for yourself, and you've done all right, and it's most of it's driven from yourself.
Yep.
So yeah, I think resilience is a strong one, and just getting scraping back at the right time, basically.
I think resilience is something a lot of people I speak to talk about. But well, that and imposter syndrome, those are the two that come across most when I ask people about themselves.
Oh, I've been in presentations, Chris, and thinking these guys are laughing at me. This guy's not got a clue. But if you stand there, you know the fake it till you make it phrase. I should have said that before. I've never done that, but I've stood up in front of people presenting, and I know a market, and I know what I'm doing, and I'm presenting to proper senior people, thinking they're going to see through me. What an idiot this guy is. But then I've come out of the meeting and we've said we've blagged it again. But we haven't
Brilliant.
blagged it. We've done a decent job, and they've not
Yep.
seen through us. But the fact is, we tend to know we know what we're doing, we know what we're selling. But it's that I mean, I've done it in loads of meetings. Just like I'm laughing. I mean, I've got this presentation in 3 4 weeks. I've not done it yet. It's on this for cause match, and it's like the Leeds Social Alliance. I've never met anybody before, and I'm talking their language, and I don't know enough about it yet. They know all the social stuff, and I don't. And I'm thinking,
Yep.
Christ, they're just going to see through me and laugh at me. But I should be able to pull it off. I should be able to pull it off.
I,
But yeah, imposter syndrome is massive in veterinary, as in the vets.
I'm thinking. I'm trying to remember who it was, but someone had a wonderful phrase that he wrote a quote about if your purpose is strong enough, then nothing else matters. It's like your message gets across, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was
It's
always
like
told. Yeah, so when I was a buyer, it was always you've got to know the sales guy would always have the upper hand on you. So if you've got to know more about the person the product you're buying then the person is selling to you. So I'd often go in a meeting and know nothing about what I was buying, and the sales guy's got different hands and he could talk to me. So you're right, your purpose is one, and also know your product, know your market.
yeah,
I mean, when I've done presentations before, I'm quite good at preparing, so I'd never go and wing it. I've also over prepared. So when I have stood up, I have got the answers to the questions, and it's just a personal thing for me
yeah.
thinking, Chris, they're going to see through me. When they have asked me something, I've not stood there like a kid at 5 years old and gone like bright red. I know what I'm talking about, and I can get by and get through it. So
Brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, having a passion, having a purpose is great. I used to play years and years ago, Chris. I used to play the trumpet. I used to stand up and I wasn't nervous at all because I could play it quite well. And people say, "You're not nervous." Well, no one can play the trumpet. No one knows if I've made a mistake. And they're going to clap at the end anyway, whether I'm rubbish or not. So it
Yep.
was that type of thing. So
That's
there you go.
absolutely what I feel about presentations. Nobody knows what you're going to say. Um,
Well, they're all sorts of rooting for you as well, aren't they? Because no one
Most
like,
people want you to succeed, but very few people,
no, they don't.
I think the only sort of profession I think where antagonism is almost part of it is comedy. Where
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
do
yeah.
expect that it is okay to have hecklers and stuff. Which but everywhere else I've been and I've seen, most people want you to do well. Most people admire anybody that is willing to stand up, and I think that's the number one is standing in front of a group of people. Typically, most of the people are admirers of you just for doing that.
It can turn confident people into jelly. It can turn your really hardened top man MD into jelly, and it's a massive. I don't do enough of it, Chris. I don't do enough of it. I mean, there were loads of sort of presentations online, which is not the same. I've done a few. I did loads in COVID, and this is the one I've not. I'm doing a few of these actually coming up over the next few weeks. But yeah, I said most people want you to do well, but lots of people can't do it. Lots of people will struggle, and you just got to prepare. And like you said, most people don't need to fail, do they?
No, most people don't. They're there for a reason. They probably want, that they want you to succeed. One thing, if it helps, I've always found really helps to start well, two things. I remember speaking to he was then the CEO of Action Coach, guy called Victor Fratelli, and really confident guy, another Australian alongside our CEO. And somebody asked him, he said, how do you get to, and he was one of our trainers when I first became an action coach. And somebody said, how do you get to speak so confidently? Because he was very direct. And he said, I've always remembered, well, he said, I've been lucky that over time, we all get that. Most people get a level of nerves, and I've managed to get it down from like 48 hours before to about 30 seconds before. So I've already
Mm.
sort of given myself that. I still sleep at night beforehand, but I still. And he said, the challenge almost everyone has. It's not the whole thing. It's the first 30 seconds. It's the first
It's
minute.
getting the started.
It's
So
getting a start.
the,
So he said, well, if at the start I was the most confident person I know, and then I moved into me, that'll be okay. So for his generation, he said the most confident person I know was John Wayne, the movie actor. He said John Wayne didn't sort of slightly push the saloon door open and look around the corner, see if there's any. He kicks it open and he walks
yeah,
in. So he says, when I get on stage, I'm John Wayne. I kick the door open and I go and start. And they said within 30 seconds, I'm Victor Fratelli, and it's helped me.
yeah,
And I've always remembered that. And I remember I actually introduced him on stage once, and I told that story because I thought it was such a great story of thinking about the most confident person. But the other thing that's helped me, which I learned again, was to start a presentation with a question because
ah,
it puts the onus onto other people. Whatever the question, it could be, what do you think is the most important thing about this, or what are the top five? This,
yeah,
and in
yeah.
some ways, and it's not meant to try and be for me combat or what's the right word, but we talked about knowing things. If you know something that other people might not know, and you ask that question, all of a sudden it starts to put that it reduces the tension a little bit because people.
Yeah,
But it can be a fun thing. I use film images and quotes a lot
yeah,
because
yeah,
it's just like, what film do you think this is? And anybody know where this quote's from? And it
yeah.
just gets people, and then people get interested and excited, and it sort of diverts us and them away from this particular big thing that we feel is in front of us, if that makes any sense.
Mm. No, I see. I mean, I was going to start mine with a joke, but I might start it with a question. I'll say, if the joke's rubbish, Chris, I'll be walking out the room.
Jokes good. What actually? One of the things Brad always talked about, which I thought was great for engagement, was asking a question and have a funny have a funny part of the answer is fun, it can be funny. So he usually said, and I know we coach businesses, so he'd say, um, oh, what would he say? So he'd stand up and typically go, right, hands up if you own a business, hands up if you're an employee of a business,
Yeah, he did that last time when I saw him.
and hands up if you wish you're an employee again.
Yeah.
As a way of making it a little bit funny. So yeah. So anyway, it's a way of engaging and stuff. But I know you're a lot better than you are concerned about being. So I don't think
I
you've got to
don't
have a
I
problem.
don't mind it, Chris. It's like I say, it's the first 30 seconds. Once you're into it, and the thing is, you know more than the audience. So it was always if I know what I'm talking about more than they do, and I can get away with it, I know in presentation and then answer any questions, I'll be absolutely fine.
Absolutely. And you know, if you don't know a question, answer the question, you say great question, I'll come back to you. I've always
I'll come back
believed in
to you.
that.
Exactly.
You know, it's a
Yeah,
great
yeah.
question. We don't you know, unless you're a mastermind, you don't need to know every answer to every question, in my opinion. It's
True.
like we're all human, aren't we? Brilliant. Well, good luck for that. And I was gonna say
Thank you.
what looking forward, what does the future look like for you, for VetFinders, for Course Matcher? And what challenges do you think you might face, if any?
I think the most obvious challenge is the AI, where we are, what we do, and
Yep.
trying to get in front of it. So, like I said, I'm normally playing catch up on sort of IT, social media and stuff. At the minute, I'm watching every YouTube possible. I'm a massive ChatGPT fan. I do an awful lot of work on that at the minute, which is brilliant. It saved me so much time, and what it can do is fantastic. And that's the most basic form of AI. So
Yep.
I think just recruitment in general. I mean, recruitment's been dying for 60 years, but it never has. So every time job boards come out, LinkedIn comes out, AI comes out, but every year the market's grown and grown and grown. So that doesn't worry me too much. It worries me in certain industries, to be fair, but not so much recruitment. Yes, I think it can help enormously, but you've got that face-to-face contact, so people always want to deal with a person. Maybe I'll disappear and make a fake version of me, Chris. Stone light, a bit more air. That could do. That could be much nicer. But other than that, I mean, from cause matcher point of view, I just want to build it into something that's pretty special, Yorkshire focused. There's nothing that is in Yorkshire like it. There are national ones, but they have
Brilliant.
the big ones that deal with. So there's nothing local, and like I say, it's a really good start to it. So hopefully something like that should get a bit of progress. And again, from an AI point of view, again, it can automate things, but I don't think there's too much of an issue there. So I'm semi, what's the word, positive about the future in lots of ways. I'm not someone who knocks. I'm a relatively positive person. I don't want to talk things down. So yeah, AI is going to take over this. We don't know how bad it's going to be, how good it's going to be, but we all need to embrace it. Put it that way, Chris, and stop
Uh,
panicking.
it's like anything. If you don't embrace it, then you'll probably be a victim of it. And
People
that's
panic. People are panicking.
yeah,
I mean, what do you think about AI, Chris? What do you mean? I think just I don't know. Watch a few videos, have a play on ChatGPT, and try and think about how it's going to affect you, and try and get in front.
yeah,
Lots of it is out of your control. So stop worrying, even though I am worrying.
absolutely. Yeah, and well, I don't know what timescales are because somebody I know quite well um, was talking about when AI hits. They've got something called quantum processing now, which is a totally different way of producing processes, which means that processing power will multiply thousand folds. So
Yeah, yeah.
if AI is already quite fast, if you then add it to processing power that's a thousand times faster than it used to be, the learning capability of AI becomes you
Mad,
know
isn't it?
infinite but who knows. We'll work out. We'll address that when we get to it. I'm going to be sitting in a cabin in the middle of the woods someday waiting for the robots to turn up, and that'll be fine. I don't need AI
Uh,
to do some of the things I enjoy doing, so
He can't get rid of skiing and he can't get rid of the sun, Chris.
you
So that's
can't
two
ski
things.
for me. Yeah, no, that's true.
No, and
Although we're
he
doing it
won't let the
better.
sun disappear. He has to let me ski better as well. He
Have
can't
some
take the odd beer away either.
a robot that takes me on its back when I'm about 80. That would be quite good. I'd be up for that. It can ski me down a mountain. I'd be up for that. Who knows?
Or skis that know where to go. And if you're going to crash, it automatically pulls your skis to like the right side, or it tells you when you're going to crash to someone, so it stops you. So, well, I don't know, skis with motors in or something like that. I don't know,
As,
which will
as,
probably happen soon.
as long as it's not skis that decide if you're about to hit a tree to go either side of it, that could be like
I've done that.
the skis are safe, but unfortunately, the human is now yeah. So
The person,
no,
yeah, the
so
skis are going down the mountain. The person's stuck.
so I'm keen to know what we did touch on it a bit early, but what I'm keen to know what you'd say to anyone that was thinking of going to business right now, Chris.
I would. I was going to say jump in with both feet. I think you're going to do a load of research. You've got to stop watching or don't watch these people that all say it's better and it's roses and it's great, this, that, and the
Yes,
other. There's an awful lot of people who struggle like mad. I did it before the internet. Lots of people. I mean, when I said to entrepreneur wasn't a trendy word. Now entrepreneur, everyone's been entrepreneur, and it's trendy, and it's like I'm a go-getter. And Gary Vaynerchuk goes on, and Simon Squibb goes on and says this, and I love them both. But have something to fall back on. When I quit my job to do it, I had something to fall back on. I knew I could go back into a job. I think you've got to give it a go. If it's burning inside, you give it a go. You've got to have a plan. You've got to know what you're doing, but just have something to fall back on.
Yeah.
and don't throw everything at it and just. I mean, don't be too disappointed if you fail because the most successful people in the world, all the thing is, I say to my lads, the ones that are at the top and all these rich guys and rich women, they've all failed thousands
Yeah.
of times, but they're not bothered.
No.
So you've got the Dyson guy who failed 600 times and all that type of thing. His 700, what was this vacuum cleaner or whatever it might be. So all the best people have failed and gone bust. So give it a go, but
Yeah.
just do your research first and don't
Bang
watch
on.
any YouTube videos of people driving Lambos.
Bang on. And if you started any of your businesses again, is there anything significant you do differently, do you think?
Um, I think I'd not massively, Chris. No, I mean a bit more research. Maybe you've got a lot more tools at your disposal to research. I was desperate to run my own business. I was desperate to get out of my job, and I jumped in with 2 feet with two people I didn't really know, and it happened to work out. Well, looking back, it was bloody stupid, but I wanted it to work out so badly. I'd have done anything without them anyway.
Yes.
So there's lots of little things, but nothing major. No, I was relatively confident I could do it. I wasn't 18 and wet behind the ears. I was sort of late 20s. I think it's 29, 30 when I set up my first business. So I was relatively knowledgeable in the sort of how things work. So no, the research thing more than anything else, Chris, is just
Yeah.
really get to town and do it. And the thing is, because the internet now, you can start and fail for a few hundred quid. Say something. I
Yes.
mean, people want to sell stuff. You can sell on Amazon and eBay and whatever it might be. So yeah, I think I've done all right from that point of view. Yeah, it's not too bad.
Brilliant. And finally, what would be the best advice you could give an 18-year-old you if you could go back in time and do that, Chris?
I think stop worrying. Do your research, give it a go. Don't worry too much about what people think. So people always say they don't worry about what people think, but they do. I think the older you get, so it was one of these. My parents didn't want me to set up on my own, so they were disappointed. They wanted to have two parents, both teachers, massively risk averse, wanted to get a full-time job, company Mondeo, 20 grand a year. They were happy as pigs in you know what. I set my own business up. It was like trying to prove to them that I could do it. So from that point of view, that was sort of a slight worry, just trying to prove to yourself you can do it more than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, brilliant. Chris, it's been really fascinating to talk to you today, and thank you so much for your time. For anyone that would like to get in touch with you, VetFinders, Calls Matcher, what would be the best way to do that?
Chris at causematcher.com or Chris at vetfinders.co.uk and the website, obviously causematcher.com or vetfinders.co.uk. Or
Brilliant.
I'm on LinkedIn as Chris Worthington. There's not many Chris Worthingtons, so there we go.
Brilliant. Well, look, it'd be great to catch up with you again and just see how things are going with both businesses, especially Calls Matcher, and how these
Yeah,
presentations that you've done, you're going to do soon, have gone. So
I'll let
perhaps
you
we could
know.
do that in 12 months or so. But for now, thank you so much for your time.
No, pleasure. Thanks a lot, Chris. Appreciate that.
Thank you.